And then I realized it's done. Move on, man. And that was a massive learning lesson for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of More Than a Sale. Today I have a very special guest here with me today. He's a partner and senior vice president of sales and marketing at CentreCourt Developments, Mr. Jason Lam. Welcome to the show, Jason.
I'm excited to be here, Ron. A lot of transformation.
Absolutely. That's what I think allows to build discipline in life.
We always have the excuse of, because I'm busy. If you don't do it, it's on you. Not because you're busy, it's because you're just lazy. I need to make more calls. I need to meet more people. I need to do whatever I can do, I will do.
Because a lot of people in life, they don't take responsibility for their actions. Sit your ass down, here's a bunch of leads, go fucking call, don't get out of the office till I have 5-10 appointments.
You know, if you just invested more time in the hard work, building your foundation, I think you'd be way better off. If you become a great realtor that has a great base of knowledge, and you understand what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you're going to do it, I can do this. Like, success was the only option. There was no failure.
Welcome to the show, Jason.
I'm excited to be here, Ron. It's been a long time.
Yeah, likewise.
Our journey together has gone through a lot of transformations.
Absolutely.
I think it's like been it's been like 8 years.
Who's counting? It's the qualitative growth over the quantitative growth,
You
right?
always do that. You always take something and like get into the philosophical responses. I like it. I'm okay with this.
Truly, I feel like I'm 45 years old in my...
Me too.
You
Me
too.
too.
Right?
Yeah, well, I feel like my mind is 50. Well, that's not true. Sometimes you feel that's not true. I feel like my body is 50.
Yeah.
I feel like my mind is like 28, and I feel like my responsibilities are 100.
Let's talk a little bit about your responsibilities. Your
Okay.
partner now. What does that mean at CentreCourt Developments?
Well, it means that I'm, I guess, a figure in what drives the machine.
Okay.
So there are different partners that sort of graduated. So you've got the construction guys, Rob and Josh. You've got Jacob in the business lead. You've got Jonathan in finance, Nicola in accounting, Batter in acquisitions. I'm pretty sure I'm missing someone, but so you've essentially, what they've done, very smart, locked in the figureheads, Mitch Gascoigne of development, the people that really are driving the teams that they're leading, and sort of like maybe keeping that in place for the next sort of 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, so that what we've got going now, which I think is one of the best shops in Toronto and the GTA, stays intact, and you're not, people aren't leaving, and turnover is tough, right, on organizations like that. So it was a very wise strategic move. I think it's allows us to offer input on how to improve the company, and sort of put our fingerprints on where CentreCourt should go next, and how to get there. And they want to be more inclusive. So I would say in a lot of ways, I think it's just added responsibility and a bigger voice, but it comes with a lot more pressure and a lot more
money.
I don't know. A lot of people think like I'm just a walking money bag. They're like, oh, you're a developer, you must make so much money. I'm like, you talking to me? But again, we work really hard. And
from an outside level, and I have friends that are not in the real estate industry, and you have lots of friends that are not in the real estate industry.
It's actually bizarre, isn't it?
It's bizarre. So what when they look at you and they talk to you and they see stuff on social media and they're looking at it from an outside, what do you think their viewpoint is of this industry or of the real estate industry in
That's
general?
a good question. Obviously very materialistic. It's already on social media, so it's already going to be curated. So that's, whether you're in real estate or not, everything's curated. So you're just sort of putting that on steroids, and that you're living a lavish life. You're always out and about doing crazy things, mingling. You don't realize that you're shooting content for like way in advance. So the stuff was already done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. So I don't have all that time in the world, and so I often used to worry about what people, my friends would think of the character that I've become, or whoever I am. But I know that when I spend time with them, it's like I don't talk about work at all. I don't wear anything. I wear a T-shirt and jeans and a hat, and I try and be. I'm a normal person. I am a normal person, right?
Do you find that by doing that, it allows you to not get caught up in the titles, not get caught up in the positions, not get caught up in the roles? Because I've seen you do it so often, and sometimes I just think, okay, cool, he's off duty, or maybe he just quickly came in to check up on a couple of things. But now, is that a part of your identity now, or is that a part of your reality?
I think it's just part of. It's both, right? Like I dial it back because I don't really take that stuff so seriously. And I don't think a lot of people in CentreCourt do. Some people do, but most people don't really get caught up in titles and all that. And my first day was, some of the people were like, oh yeah, the titles don't mean anything. I'm like, oh, okay. And in my mind, I'm like, that's weird. And then I looked at the website, I was like, everyone's a vice president. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. And so, but they trained me early and I trained myself early that a lot of these things don't mean anything. And it's weird when you start to put too much stock on it. And it takes you, if I were to act like a SVP and partner, I would be a very different person, at least what we would think from the outside world watching these shows and who that character should be. That's the furthest thing from who I am. And I think that's what sort of has guided my success and kept me grounded. And I think that's what makes me sort of relatable, likable, and feeling youthful, to be honest with you. Like, I don't want to get caught up in that stuff.
Now,
what about you?
What about me?
Because you are a character.
Am I? Okay.
Like, you are a character. No, I mean, like, in a good way. I mean, like, look, you're on Instagram, you're driving nice cars, you got a nice suit, you're waking up early, you're reading these books, you're drinking your coffee, you're a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, realtor, business owner, success story. When you go back to the people that you hung out with in high school or in university, what's that like?
They'll probably say that this is who he was, who he always was, and we all have gone through our own journeys to really become the person that we truly wanted to be, and our character and understanding of our life and our world gets more evolved as we get older, and our true inner being comes out with passing of age. So when I got my license at 19 years of age, I had a different understanding of the world. I can't relate to someone that has 5 kids, has certain responsibilities, is maybe has a medical condition. There's no way of me relating to somebody like that, but I can feel it. I can try to emote that emotion of what they may be going through. I have people in my office that will come and sit in front of me and they cry and they talk about problems at home. They talk about problems with their spouses. They talk about problems with finances. They talk about life issues or whether it's depression or anything of that sort. And at that point in time, I have to sit down and I have to listen to what's going on in someone else's life and generally care, not pretend to care, genuinely care and put myself in their shoes. And sometimes it's either they just want an ear for somebody to listen, or they're looking for a solution. Now, I think to myself sometimes, what solution can I provide when I kind of haven't really figured out what this life thing is all about? I don't think you really ever figure this life thing out. With passing of age, you seem to just have a better understanding of things as they go along. Am I supposed to make a lot of money? Am I supposed to be traveling all the time? Am I supposed to take it easy? Am I supposed to be reading books? Am I supposed to be waking up early and doing a certain things? Am I supposed to be going to the gym? Okay, so apparently I'm not supposed to be eating that burger, or I'm not supposed to be eating the fried food. Who justifies this stuff? It's the stuff that people around you, stuff that you see from an online perspective, where you formulate your own thoughts and opinions. And based on your life journey, your hurdles, your losses, your wins, your challenges, you now have an understanding of what life is to you from your perspective. And based on my circumstances, I have a life and perspective. Now, my father, when he came into this country, he did odd jobs, had no money in his pocket, from rags to riches, to built everything from scratch. To the challenges he faced were a lot greater. When I think about it, it was a lot greater than a lot of people, even myself. But I can't relate to that hurdle and challenge because I was not there in that time frame. I have to face my own challenges. I have to face my own issues or problems that come in my trajectory of a living. So it's sort of like that. Now, tomorrow when Jason Lam, has a second in line or a third in line or whatever the case may be, what's going to happen is they might get a running head start because now they have someone who has worked his butt off because they wanted to do it for themselves, but they get a platform to work forward from. Kind of like when we were talking about your family before, and you said I kind of took a couple of things from my father, that he was in sales, and I took some of his tactics of how he used to do those things, but you took that and you built your own platform moving forward based on your life challenges or life solutions that come along the way. So, when we talk about waking up early or going to the gym or doing any of those things or reading books, I do it because that's what I think I'm supposed to be doing. That's what I think that should be done. That's what I think allows to build discipline in life, because that's what it really boils down to at the end of the day is the discipline factor. And whether you talk about failures or successes, anytime you're failing, anytime I'm going down, I'm getting my ass kicked. And lately I've been getting my ass kicked left, right, and center. The only thing I have control over is my actions and my discipline. And that's it. and then the moves that I can play. It's like playing a game of chess. There's only 3-4 moves you can make. You make one move here, this piece is going to die.
Yeah.
But if that piece dies, can you move the other piece? So it's a game of chess altogether. You've had humble beginnings, and you and I both know your journey in this real estate career of yours that has been on an upwards trajectory. For the people that don't know, you started off as an administrative assistant, or sorry, and that's a front desk secretary.
I was a receptionist.
Receptionist, yeah.
Secretary is a step above. I was a receptionist at when I quit a skilled trade, and I want to say 21, 22, 23, something in that pocket. It's a bit blurry back then.
Yeah.
And a very good friend of mine, Brian Shu with RDS, he was a sales manager at Milbourne, and he helped sort of get me in and, just trying to get a job, part-time job.
Super nice guy. I love that guy.
$15
He's awesome.
an hour, 20, it was, and I had no intention of being in real estate. I had no interest in. You kind of.
So this was just a job for you. You're like, cool, I got a job.
It was just a job.
It's better than me going out doing labor. I could at least get a chance to
I just done 4 years of straight labor, right? Being in HVAC, and I was just tired of that. I was burnt out, as a 20-year-old, and I just wanted. I wouldn't say that I wanted something better for myself. I just wanted something different for myself, and I wanted to take a break. And I also realized that in that moment, you kind of feel like everything is really urgent. But then for me, it was like, I've still got my 20s, I've got my 30s, I've got my 40s, I've got my 50s and 60s and 70s. Why not figure out for the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, what I want to be, who I am, rather than try and force myself for the next 40 years. Like, I don't mind wasting 3 or 4 years to make sure the next 40 are great. Right? Investing, not waste, investing. And so a lot of people at that time they were in such a rush. I got to get my university degree. I got to be successful. I got to make 100K. Because that was like back then, it was like the dream. I just want to make 6 figures. 100K was like, it's like the 10,000 steps. Like, it's just this number. It's 100K. I just got to make 100K. And I was like, everyone was going into university courses and degrees that they didn't want to do and had no business, and then they dropped out. And a lot of those people aren't even in industries that they were supposed to be in. So everyone was rushing, and I just didn't understand why. So that was sort of like, at that point, it was going into 101 Peter as a receptionist for CentreCourt's first project. And then from that point on, I slowly started to fall in love with the whole industry.
What was a period in your life where you felt the complete lowest? And I know we were talking about the COVID period where you felt like super confused and you're like, this is it, or you're like, I don't know if this industry is for me. And I know that, there was a period of your career where you went to Dubai to try a venture over there with real estate. And, if you feel comfortable talking about it, I really want to know where was that period, because every time you meet you, you're always like, motivated and you're super great and you give off great energy. What was that one period where you're like, why me?
Never why me, because I think, we're blessed. It's funny, I've been saying that a lot. People are like, how are you doing? I'm like, blessed, never better. Life is way too short. And, for us to be in this field to do what we do, it really is remarkable. Like, I never would have thought in a million years I'd be sitting in this chair in this moment with this title, with this, all of these things. Because I really expected to be a tradesperson or a musician, and kind of that was it. And like live paycheck to paycheck, and I was perfectly fine with that. In terms of lows, in the pre-construction space, like, there's a lot of ups and downs, but I think that's the journey. And, we talked about the COVID period where we all kind of got lost, and I'm like, what is going on? And how is this really playing out? And for me, if it's just about the professional side, I had just joined CentreCourt in 2019, launched, 3 projects. You go into 2020, launch your 4th, and I'm like just starting to get my, I'm really starting to establish myself. I spent the last 2 years proving that CentreCourt made the right decision, and I never felt like I was ever really, I proved that out. And then you have this pandemic. And I'm like, why now? Like, we're just getting into, like, we're starting to get into our stride. Systems, teams, everything is really beautiful. And then this happens, and we're leading up to the launch of 199 Church in the summer of 2020. And, it wasn't like this raging success. Granted, we were like 70 or 80% sold in like 30 or 60 days. But to me, for some sick reason, it wasn't enough. And I remember feeling so much pressure of like, I need to make more calls. I need to meet more people. I need to do more Instagram. I need to do whatever I can do, I will do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a fun, let's do it. It was I need to do it. I need to do it with a smile, even though I don't have one right now. I need to do it, and I need to do it better than everyone else because the market's tough. And I'm sure I put a lot of pressure on our team. And there was a lot of pressure from the, the upper management coming down on us to be like, why aren't we sold out? And in the context, if you take a step back, like, we killed it. Like, what do you mean, why weren't we sold out? And so that's the approach that I take now. I'm like, listen, everyone just needs to chill out. If you're hot because you did the right work and you were priced well. If you're not, then you either priced not well or you didn't do enough. And I can comfortably say that every time we put everything into our launches. So if the market responds and says you're too expensive, there's nothing I can do about that. There's only so much marketing I can do. So that was a really difficult time in my life in terms of, and it was still a success. It's just what I perceived to be a failure. And it's amazing how much pressure you can put on yourself and how detrimental that can be. Because I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I need people to talk to. I needed a therapist really at the time, and I was struggling. And I don't think really a lot of people knew. No one really knew, and I just felt like I wasn't doing enough, and I didn't care about anything else but the job, and that took a lot out of me. Like, that really kind of crushed my soul. And then, obviously after that, I was like, is this really worth it? Like, am I really willing to go through these lengths to sell some real estate? You know what I mean? Like, is this the price?
Why did you feel that it crushed your soul?
Because I felt like I'd failed. And I felt like that I wasn't doing enough ever. And I felt like the eyes were watching us. In a market where there weren't a lot of launches, CentreCourt's coming, we did this drive-in event and blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff is all fun and games. But like, sit in the office, pound calls, let's make deals. I don't know. There was just something going through my mind that in retrospect, wow, that was so silly of me to apply that much pressure but in that moment, in that month and a half, it was just excruciating. And I'm sure in the context, people are like, what do you mean that's excruciating? Like, that's ridiculous. First world problem. Sure, but like, live it and be a part of it and go through it. And, that was my experience, and that was rather challenging. And then that set me up well for the sort of the launches that would come after that weren't as successful. And my response was, okay, that's cool. Listen, what can we do, right? Like, I'm not gonna, nothing I can do in this moment, in this minute, in this second is gonna change, is gonna get us 100 more sales, right? Let's just take a step back, chill out. Let's not put so much pressure on ourselves. We're gonna figure this out. It's gonna take some time. And that was a massive learning lesson for me that I really needed, because at the same time we had sort of false sense of success with CentreCourt. It was just bang, just blowouts after blowouts, and like, that's not real. Like, that's not practical. And so getting back to the basics of, okay, rolling up our sleeves, let's start making calls, let's start having appointments, let's start doing presentations, let's start doing all the little things, boots on the ground. And if it wasn't for Shalini and Norris at the time, and eventually Mark, I would have fallen apart. I would have probably left. I would have quit. I would have just taken my ball and went away. And because you can't do it alone. One of the things I learned is actually, and Shalini and Mark and Norris really helped me with this, is that, I can't do it myself. And I tried to do it myself. And I thought that I could do it myself. And it's impossible.
That's a Capricorn problem.
I'm a Sagittarius.
I thought you were a Capricorn the whole time.
I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh, you're right at the cusp. I don't know why this whole time you were,
And so, leading up to the launches of like Prime, it wasn't so hot. Yeah. Had to grind. Westline wasn't so hot. Had to grind. I was okay with that, and I realized that, hey, what's the worst that can happen? It's just real estate, guys. Like, we'll figure it out, and we've got the right team, no problem. So, taking a step back and just sort of taking that in, there's only so much you can control. 2 phases in my life. I think during COVID, I had a difficult time not being in the work space, because that's all you had to do. You woke up and it's work. And then we were also in an industry where in pre-construction, it was kind of like the world was upside down. And, we were talking earlier about obsession, and out of necessity, out of desperation, like, I had to do this. I wanted to be the best, not because I had a fallback plan. This was my only plan. And I ate, I slept, I breathed, pre-construction. How do we do it? How are we going to get there? And so that was very consuming. And I let a lot of things fall by the wayside in that time of my life, because success was the only option. There was no failure. And then obviously going into the last sort of 12 to 18 months where we're sort of in a bit of a whirlwind, and we're also in, all our eggs are in the pre-construction basket, or at least mine is. That's been a challenge. And so it's like, it's eat, sleep, and breathe this. How do we get out of this? How do we separate ourselves? How do we, and you can't sleep because this is everything. This is all I know. And so, one of the things I told my team, or our, Shalini, Mark, and Norris, is we had this lull phase. And I said, one of the things I said to them was, do what you need to do. We always have the excuse of, I'm not going to the gym because I'm busy. I'm not seeing my family because I'm busy. I'm not hanging with my friends because I'm busy. I'm not reading books because I'm busy. You've got nothing but time. So if you don't do it, it's on you. It's not because you're busy. It's because you're just lazy, or you're procrastinating, or you're so stuck in a habit that you're not ready to take the next step. You have to find it within yourself. And I've had many times where I just shoved myself in a box and only focused on work. But I find that now it's a lot harder to do that, especially what we've been through, right? Like I think as I've grown older, it's just, look, it's real estate. It'll sell or it won't sell.
What does that box look like? I really want to ask you about that, because I've heard about this. I've done it myself in my own capacity in very different ways. I want to understand your process of it. How does Jason Lam, when he's preparing, when he's studying, when he's getting surgical, or he's getting tactical, how do you put yourself in the box? What is that box? What does that look like? Do you close everything out and nothing matters and it's just linear for you? What does that look like?
I wish it was that surgical and that concise. I would say that it's the urgency. For me, you create urgency. You have deadlines that other people place on me. And, obviously I'm involved to a degree when it comes to acquisition. So, when they bring land and say, is this exciting? For example, Pickering Town Center, I'm like, it is pretty interesting. Let me dig my toes in. Let's learn about things. Let's learn about data. Let's learn about population. Let's learn about how many condos there are. Let's just understand the ecosystem.
So knowing what you know now, all the movements and moments in your life that you've gone through, if you had to start all over, and we're talking like, now this is Jason Lam, the receptionist, knowing that he's gotten to where he is today and everything that he knows, what moves would he do differently?
Wow. What moves would I have done differently?
It's a powerful question, man.
It is a powerful question. I love what I do today. I love the people I work with. I love everything about this industry. I would have tried to accelerate. I would have obviously bought a lot more real estate. I don't know. This is too, because once you start to go into like, would I have left real estate and done something crazy and put a bunch of money on Amazon? Because now it's getting crazy, like sports betting. Like I would have done some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But in the world of like real estate, I would have tried to expedite. I would have taken it more seriously. It took me a long time to find my worth, to find my value, to find you never know if you're good enough. And you'll never know. And there's a lot of people I hope are watching that are they're salespeople, they're managers, whatever, they're realtors. It's like, am I good enough? And it doesn't matter. It's just, put in the work and you will be good enough. And it took me a long time to break out of that shell. I would have just tried to accelerate, and I would have found mentors faster and trusted other people's experiences. I thought I could do it myself, do it my way. But the more I learned about other people's way, the more I learned about their challenges, or their successes, or their strategies, the more I was able to pull from that and sort of use that, not directly, but indirectly, and navigate my waters through a lot of different stories.
Talking about that, who were some of those individuals that had a profound impact on you in your journey of growth and development? Now, everybody comes at different points in life, but someone that you truly looked up to or respected, or you're like, I really gained a lot from this individual or individuals wholeheartedly.
My experience when we were selling Harbor Plaza and that team, Johnson Cheng in particular was monumental, and just sort of how to conduct yourself. I was a very junior at that. That was my first real sales job. And overall, I was just trying to soak it in, I was just there for the ride. So I don't know how much I took, but I definitely took a lot from sort of that operation, how to conduct yourself as a professional, how to deal with realtors, the importance of realtors. So that was my first, like I had been with Milbourne for years, but until then I realized, oh, this is what it's like. This is sort of the reality of who are the movers and shakers? What are the sort of ethnic markets that are just way more bullish than others? And like it opened my eyes on many levels. So that would be one. Obviously, working with Hunter Milbourne, that whole exposure was big for me. Different developers, different sites, different, the Dean of Condos, like he's a legend. Brian and Charles from RDS, like I worked with them. We were locked in rooms till 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like we, whether we learned from each other or we learned together, going through those launches, that was really big. And so there were a lot of figures, and Shalini Market Norris, and we eat, sleep, and breathe this, and so we're always trying to help each other, and it's a great team. It's actually a remarkable team. It's a family.
And it's so interesting because now when you see, Charles and Brian with RDS, and then you at CentreCourt, and it's like, look at where we started, to look at where we are now, and
So
look at
many
where,
people.
it's and it's such a small industry, to be honest. The frequency industry is
tiny.
such a
It's only grown since then, right? Like that, if you go back in time to when we were doing Capital Hall, like there was very few players.
Yeah.
And now you've got like 30 marketing agencies, like these companies.
A lot of agents wanting to get into the business.
Yeah, now there's again, so it is way bigger today than it's ever been.
If you were to finish it off and somebody asked you this, who is Jason Lam? What would you say?
Oh man, who is Jason Lam? Jason Lam is an individual that really cares about his craft, really cares about how to propel CentreCourt forward and to tell great stories. But also, who is Jason Lam is a guy that's super laid back and doesn't want to get caught up in the Rolexes and the Bugattis and the Lamborghinis and all that stuff. It's not him. And he can't be bothered with 95% of the noise out there, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's politics, whether it's gossip. Like, I just don't care. And I just want to wear a T-shirt and jeans and hang out just like everyone else. And so, I'm approachable. I'm relatable. I like to tell stories. I want to help people, and I want to guide the people that are around me as best as I can. Not without my flaws, not without my mistakes, not without my misfortunes. But, Jason Lam is blessed because grew up immigrant family, took a boat from Vietnam here, came from nothing, and I still have the mentality of I have nothing. And that will never change. And I will always think that I could be fired tomorrow and replaced. And so, I have that sort of sense of urgency that I need to produce and to propel forward. But I have a genuine love for what I do. And so that's where I'm willing to park my time. And so that's how I would like people to think. But, honestly, let's wrap it up in a nutshell. Let's get philosophical. It doesn't matter what people think. It never has, it never will. And what matters to me are the people around me, because they humble me and they bring me down to earth. I'm not a SVP at home. I'm not a SVP to my parents. I'm not a SVP to my friends. The people that matter, the people that have seen me through every pain and success, I'm Jason Lam, and I'm just hopefully a nice human being that is funny at times and enjoys a couple of drinks on a golf course and just wants the best for everyone around him. Like that's how I want to be viewed.
I love that. That's so powerful. And thank you for joining us today on this podcast. It really means a lot, having our friendship evolve over the years since the beginning and the start of my career. And hope this will go on as long as, both of us are in the industry at this point in time for 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
It'll live.
Moving forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on More Than a Sale. I'm really excited for you guys to listen to the full episode if you haven't already. And till next time.